For centuries, the final resting place of Genghis Khan has remained one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in human history. A riddle passed down through generations, cloaked in layers of myth, legend, and deep cultural reverence. It was a secret thought to be buried forever beneath the windswept steppes of Mongolia. So sacred, so protected, that even those who built the tomb were said to have vanished with its location. But now, something extraordinary has emerged from the dust. An archaeological discovery so astonishing, it has the potential to rewrite not only history books, but the way we understand power, legacy, and mortality itself. A team of scientists, on a mission unrelated to conquest or treasure, stumbled upon what may be the unthinkable, the long-lost tomb of Genghis Khan. This revelation, supported by data, historical context, and cultural artifacts, threatens to upend centuries of speculation and silence. Within this ancient burial site are objects that stir both wonder and dread. Weapons, scrolls, ceremonial items, each a window into a time when the world trembled under one man's command. But the tomb does more than tell of war. It whispers of beliefs, fears, and an empire's view of death as a journey rather than an end. Genghis Khan was not merely a conqueror, he was a force of nature. His campaigns left devastation on a scale the world had never seen, claiming nearly 10% of the global population during his reign. The scars he left were not only human but ecological. Some scientists suggest that the mass death caused by his conquests even lowered global carbon levels. He was a man whose vision was so absolute, whose strategy so ruthless, that entire civilizations were reshaped or erased under his rule. Yet buried beneath the horror is a spiritual dimension. The objects in his tomb may reveal not only his mindset but the hidden rituals and cosmologies of a culture that saw death as a continuation of conquest into another realm. Legends tell of extreme efforts made to hide his tomb. Forests trampled by horses. Rivers diverted to flow over the grave. Builders allegedly executed to preserve the secret. These stories may sound like myths, but they speak to a deep, abiding fear, not just of looting, but of spiritual violation. Mongol tradition holds that the resting places of great leaders must remain undisturbed. To open such a tomb is not merely archaeology. It is sacrilege. And yet, the discovery was not made by those seeking glory, but by those studying the earth itself. Soil samples near the sacred Burkhan Khaldan mountain led to strange anomalies, shifts in sediment, markings unknown to the area, and fragments of artifacts that pointed undeniably to something ancient and royal. When the team unearthed inscriptions in Mongol script, never before found in that region, the myth began to shift into reality. This was no longer the stuff of legend. It was a scientific and cultural revelation. And the deeper the team dug, the more intricate the story became. Among the buried treasures were golden scrolls etched with a lost script, custom-forged weaponry, and ritual objects so unique they defy modern classification. These weren't remnants of just any warrior king. These were clues to the inner world of a man who shaped continents. But what followed wasn't celebration. It was hesitation. The Mongolian government quickly stepped in, understanding that this was more than a historical site. It was a sacred one. International media flooded the story, and a global audience held its breath. Ethical dilemmas mounted. Should the tomb be opened? Who had the right to touch its contents? What if? Disturbing the tomb unleashed not just historical truths, but cultural and spiritual repercussions no one was prepared for? In a land where Genghis Khan is still considered a semi-sacred figure, a symbol of national identity and pride, the implications were profound. To disturb his grave is to challenge the very soul of Mongolia. To navigate this delicate moment, the archaeologists brought in historians, cultural experts, spiritual advisors, and scientists. Every artifact, every detail was treated not as a prize but as a responsibility. The tomb's architecture revealed an obsessive symmetry, perhaps a sacred geometry aligned with the stars or Mongolian beliefs about the afterlife. Some suggest that Genghis Khan saw himself not as ending his journey in death, but continuing it among the spirits or even the heavens. The tomb, in that sense, might not be a grave at all, but a portal, a cosmic passage for a soul never meant to be confined. The discovery also raises tantalizing scientific questions. If the remains are indeed his, could DNA analysis confirm his astonishing genetic legacy? For years, researchers have speculated that Genghis Khan fathered so many children that millions of people across Eurasia carry his genes today. Until now, this theory has been built on circumstantial evidence and patterns in Y chromosome data. But with possible access to his actual remains, those theories could finally be tested, though doing so risks a deep clash between scientific curiosity and cultural sanctity. Inside the tomb, strange carvings and symbols hint at unknown influences. Some motifs resemble those found in Persian or Chinese artifacts, suggesting gifts from distant lands or evidence of conquest and tribute. Others seem to represent a lost language, possibly documenting Khan's final thoughts, strategies, or spiritual beliefs. If deciphered, these texts could rival the Dead Sea Scrolls in importance and rewrite the known history of Eurasia. And yet, among the pottery, weapons, and gold, there are items that simply don't make sense. Objects that fit no known category. Tools of unknown purpose. Symbols that match no catalog. These are the relics that haunt the imagination. Pieces that suggest either a cultural sophistication we've yet to understand, or connections to realms of thought long erased from human memory. As more is uncovered, one truth becomes clear. This is not just the story of a tomb. It is the reawakening of a legend. A chance to re-examine the legacy of a man who reshaped the world through brutality and brilliance. Genghis Khan united warring tribes, dismantled empires, and built a dynasty that endured for generations. His methods were feared, his vision unrelenting, and his name unforgettable. But what if his final message was not one of conquest, but of transformation? This discovery offers Mongolia a powerful moment, a chance to assert its cultural heritage on the world stage while also wrestling with the consequences of exposure. How do you protect a secret that's no longer secret? How do you honor your past when the world demands access to it? And how do you respect a sacred site when its very existence could answer questions that have haunted historians for centuries? For the rest of us, this moment demands humility. It forces us to reconsider who tells history, what is remembered, and what is sacred. It reminds us that the past is not buried. It is waiting beneath our feet, behind myths, under rivers and dust, to be rediscovered not as a monument to power, but as a mirror reflecting our own timeless fascination with mortality, memory, and meaning. And so, as the last stones are carefully lifted and the ancient air of the tomb touches modern lungs, we are reminded that history does not rest. It stirs, it waits, and when it rises, it does so not with noise, but with a whisper from a time when one man dared to dream beyond the horizon and shaped the world in his image. The tomb of Genghis Khan, if it has truly been found, is not the end of a mystery. It is the beginning of a